This is Cannaday, and today we're going to take a look at the Institute expansion stuff for Fallout Wasteland Warfare from Modifius Games. Let's get to it. Alright, so we're going to be taking a look at the Institute core box here first. And so what we have here is we have 4 of the first gen synth guys here. Let's take a little bit of a closer look. Let's see if we can zoom in real good and see some of the details. I really like these guys because they just like straight up robotic synth first models here. No skin on these guys. And then you have 2 second gen synths. I'll try to get some pictures of these actually like glued to their bases, but one of the things I really like about these Modifius Fallout games is like the really cool textured bases on these guys. And then we have a Institute scientist guy here. A nice little laser pistol thing going on. Looks awesome. And then here's I think it's Corsair. This may be like the big boss guy. I like the nice texture on his base. And these guys look pretty cool. Let's look again at one of these first gen synths. These guys I think are my favorite from the Institute guys, just because I really like a lot of robot-y looking miniature models, and these guys look really cool. All right, here we have what comes in the Institute covert operations, and here we have it looks like A2018. You get one of these guys. Got like a cool rocket launcher guy. I think this is Clog. Looks pretty cool there. Then this guy is a Z247. Synth Scum. Good stuff. And then this box here just has a whole bunch more of the first generation synths and the second generation synths. So here's some more of the first generation guys. They all look pretty cool. There's a little bit of flash and stuff on these, but nothing that you can't clean up with a nice little scrape from an X-Acto blade. But you can see they're a little bit fuzzy, but nothing too big a deal. And there's a couple of the second generation guys in this pack as well. So yeah, some more synths for your Fallout miniatures game. Alright, let's take a look at some of the cards that come in the Institute expansion pack here for the cards. So first, of course, you get the rules for having synth as part of your team. So basically, it goes on talking about how the different robot stuff, and they can't use the food and medicine and things like that, and they're immune to radiation and bleeding and things like that since they're robots. So yeah, basically your little synth card there. Then you have your Gen 1 Institute stuff. I'm going to just show some of these cards. Of course, you get like a couple of those, and of course the cards for him to do solo. They're pretty basic. These guys are like the cheap little guys that can run around and you can have a ton of them on your team, but they're not super accurate. So it's like you have waves and waves of these robots. And also their solo thing here for when you're playing solo or cooperative is very much just like attack, attack, attack. Just run and attack the weakest guy that they have out there, which is pretty interesting. And you have, of course, ones with them with battered versions as well, which have different stats. And then you have the patroller here. A little bit more health. Definitely better accuracy with weapons. So they get better as they go along. Here's the trooper. And then Corsair. Definitely much better units and smarter units as you get for the different synth here. And then the scientist. These are the guys behind the scenes running stuff. They're kind of interesting with their stuff here because they're all about objectives, and then sometimes they'll run away. They'll fall back and stuff. But yeah, super interesting guys. Definitely not as tough as other dudes, but they're scientists. They're not used to being out in the wastes. And you have an engineer version. And then here's Conrad Kellogg. There's his stats, and then you just have more of like your named synth unit guys. And then, of course, you get other cards that you can add with your other sets here. Here's for Brotherhood of Steel, Night Tech, another Brotherhood of Steel. And I haven't played with all of these because I don't have all of the other faction stuff. But yeah, lots of Brotherhood of Steel cards that you can add to your set. And then some cool new Super Mutant guys. And some more of those. And they have some survivors in here as well. This is all going to like add stuff to your game so you can have different versions or for the new models that have come out. Some more Super Mutants, Vault Dwellers. I like that. And then here's a security officer. That's all the different characters. And of course you have all of the different things to go along with them so you can play in cooperative or solo. But one of the huge things that comes in this is tons of items. So many different items for the game. I'm not going to show every single one of these and talk about each one, but it's cool to see that you have like battalions and pipe wrenches and all sorts of different things, nail boards and sledges and missile launchers. And the cool thing is like in the battle mode, depending on the character you have, they can use different items, so you can like go online and figure out which items each different type of character can use. Of course, most of the Institute guys are going to use like the Institute laser rifles and the Institute laser stuff. But there's different varieties, especially this adds all sorts of different things you can find if you're playing like settlement mode or if you're playing modes where you can find items as you're going along. It's cool to have a huge variety of stuff. And then, of course, there's new stuff that you can add to your characters. And, of course, they have all sorts of different stats. This is definitely a miniatures game where it's got all sorts of crazy stats. Like, okay, I get to roll a black and a green dice, and this does basically energy damage. And if you get the right symbol, it'll make their defense go down. And if you get enough crits, you'll roll a black and a yellow, and it'll do 2 energy damage, and it can change up your dice. It's definitely very symbol heavy, and it shoots at green range. It's very symbol heavy with these different weapons, but it's definitely a very miniatures game feel. But if you're already into the Fallout Wasteland Warfare game, this will be nothing new to you. All sorts of clothing and armor, and you have several different like drugs and stems and things like that you can take, and food and stuff you can find. A lot of this stuff sometimes is a lot better in some of the different modes than others. And then there's tons and tons of ways to upgrade different weapons and upgrade your armors and upgrade things, which is very interesting. You can kind of like mod your stuff like you can in the actual Fallout games. So then, on top of all those mass amounts of items, there's also all sorts of different like events and strangers and stuff you can run into, and these will be used in the different modes. Then you have more heroic cards and heroic perks and things like that that you can add to your characters depending on what your characters are allowed to have or things you can find in the game. But yeah, so lots more of that stuff and exploration cards and events, and I don't want to spoil all of that stuff. And then, of course, stuff for campaigns and storylines and things like that. So lots of awesome stuff comes in this. Let's see what I think. So this is just a first look at all of this Institute stuff. I've played a couple solo games of it and just trying to get used to the different factions. It's definitely very interesting. The Institute is like an interesting faction in Fallout Wasteland Warfare. They're all of these like scientists that are underground creating all of these synths, trying to go out and basically either replace humans in the wasteland or just take over different things. And they have all these like different generations of robots that are running around the waste, kind of trying to do their bidding. It's very interesting when you find all of these basic synths out there attacking. They'll attack your guys at random and just try to do whatever their last programming was. It adds definitely like Fallout flavor to the game, especially if you're into the whole Fallout 4 thing. And
I think this is a cool expansion to the game if you want more stuff. It comes with tons of cards if you get the card pack, and gives you more variety of weapons and things like that, and stuff you can add to your different modes of the game. One thing about Fallout Wasteland Warfare is it's definitely a miniatures game. So it's not like super streamlined and easy to get into. There's a lot of iconography and all the stuff, and that doesn't change here with the Institute stuff. So if you tried out Fallout Wasteland Warfare and thought it was a lot, this isn't really going to change that because it just adds more stuff to the game. But if you enjoy Fallout Wasteland Warfare, I feel like the Institute will add more things to it. I think this is really cool, especially like I like to play settlers, and I think everybody likes to be like, oh, I'm a settler guy who's powered up on power armor and doing different stuff. It's really fun to play that and then come upon this like band of roaming robots that you're fighting against. I actually painted up some of the guys and I think they look really cool. I actually used some glow-in-the-dark paint as well. The model quality for these is actually really awesome. I love the textured bases, how they have Fallout terrain like all over the bases, and the sculpts are really good with the resin cast models on there. It's just really good quality stuff as far as that stuff goes. So it's definitely miniatures game quality stuff, and definitely miniatures game like complexity of gameplay. Lots of rules, but the custom dice are fun. I should do a review of like the entire like Wasteland Warfare system so you guys can get more of a sense of how it plays. But it's just a first look at the Institute so you know what comes in the box, and if you're into Fallout Wasteland Warfare, you should check it out. Anyway, so this has been my first look at the Institute stuff for Fallout Wasteland Warfare from Modifius. Check it out. Thanks so much.